Hi everybody, this is Preston Miller. This is journal entry number 2 for Dr. Santos's Advanced Adolescent Psychology class. The date is January 18th, 2011. Today I'm going to be talking about what I would like to do, but before I talk about that, I'm just going to do a quick brief summary of the previous video in case you guys just started watching now. Last time I talked about this project, which is called a walkabout, and quick summary of that is you're just taking on a big life responsibility or big life-changing responsibility. And my walkabout is going to be about going to grad school because that is up and coming in my future and I need to start preparing for it now. So I'm going to be documenting all the steps that I go through while I'm going through this process throughout the semester. Anyways, so I am going to be talking today about what I would like to do with my degree in psychology and where I would like, or what I would like to do with it once I finish grad school or go to grad school for. Um, Unfortunately, when I started looking at the information, just starting out at UNF, uh, the psychology program is one of the biggest programs at the university, and yet there is no particular direction that you are told to go in or um, where to figure out. It's a great degree, but you don't know what you're going to do with it when you get it. It's kind of like a business degree or an arts degree. It gives you the freedom to kind of pick where you want to go, and while there are preset paths, everything is unique. I mean, you could be anything from you could go into the criminal system, you could go into the clinical system, you could go into research, and when you go into research, you could research just thousands of different things. I mean, it's endless, and it's really quite overwhelming and cumbersome when you know a psychology student or any college student gets finished with a degree. Where do I go? Do I start my career now? Do I go to get further schooling, or what is it that I want to do? So I think the best thing to do, or the best thing that I found, is I went and talked to a professor. And because I haven't gotten this professor's consent, I don't want to name them right now. But when I went and talked to him last semester, he kind of laid it out for me about where you want to go with your different degrees, and it's really kind of mucky right now, and I'm still not sure I completely understand it, but I think I'll try and break it down really fast. There's two sections. There's the APA section, and there is the KCREP section. And the KCREP section is the educational side of psychology, and the APA is the actual science, psychological side of psychology. Um, if you go into KCREP, you can't cross over into APA. If you go into APA, you can't cross over into KCREP. Um, Now, with the KCREP side, if you go to grad school, you can become a school counselor and you can get your counseling PhD and I believe something else, but it wasn't real clear to me. And so that's about all you can do with that. But I mean, you can do a lot more. I believe you can get your licensed mental health counselor, certification. But if you go into APA, you can go in and get your master's in clinical or counseling psychology. And then when you go up, you can go in and get your PhD in clinical psychology, counseling, or you can get your PsyD, which is a little bit less. It's a little bit less sought after, and it is. But it doesn't mean that it's any easier. It's just that it's a different program, and it's still getting recognition and it's still building rapport with a lot of colleges and students. And then, of course, like I said, with both these, you can get your licensed mental health counseling in certification, or I believe that's the correct term for it. And um, yeah, that's about it. So that's all he was able to explain to me. But that didn't really tell me what that allows me to do. Okay, it sounds nice when you get these, you hear the PhD or the PsyD, and you hear your master's. Um, so, like I said, you go into this program, and you graduate with your bachelor in arts or bachelor in science and psychology, and you have all these ideas about what you want to do. Do you want to go in social psych? Do you want to go in clinical? Do you want to go in cognitive? Do you want to go, the criminal world or criminal justice? I mean, or research. What do you want to do? And it's very confusing. It's been highly confusing for me, just because there's so many things I like to do. But I think I've narrowed it down. And as I mentioned in my first video, I really like working with children and young adults, and all the way through adolescence. I like looking at the different developmental stages. However, I'm also interested in the cognitive side of things. I like to do research. I'm a very science-oriented person. And I'm very interested in neuroscience. And the good thing is that both of these things pretty much go hand in hand, because as you're developing as a child, we have these tests that measure, where your child's looking at, or I'm sorry, we have these tests that measure where a child or a young adult is supposed to be in the standard of today's world. And then if they're not meeting it, we start looking at, well, why haven't they been meeting this standard? And the good thing is that there's also there's environmental issues, and there's risk factors, and all these other things that compound so many different things that play a role. But the other thing is that the development of brains. Some people's brains, while that most people develop pretty symmetrically, and they continue, the curve continues to increase, not linearly, but curvature. Wow. It continues to increase in kind of a curve, and eventually, as we get older, it flattens out. And the good thing is that as a neuroscientist, you can look at these things and figure out what's going on with this person as a child. Are they developing correctly? And if they have a particular disease, or they're having problems. So I think that's a really interesting field, and it's a very again, it's still a very big field, and I haven't quite narrowed it down, but it's really a field that's growing quite a bit, and quite rapidly, because we don't know everything about the brain, and all its functions, and what happens when certain things. I mean, we have an idea, but as scientists, we don't accept things because we think they're right. We look for what's wrong. We want to find what's wrong, so we can come up with a new theory, so we can have more to test, because that's when it gets really interesting. If we dropped a ball every time, or if we held a ball and every time we dropped it, it fell to the ground, we would say it's because of gravity. But the one time we dropped the ball and it didn't fall to the ground, and it did something else, like fly up in the air, or go sideways for some weird reason, suddenly the theory of gravity wouldn't be correct anymore. And that's the same thing with mapping out the brain, and all this different stuff, because we have these ideas, but nothing's set in stone, and so it's a great field to go into. And I think that is where I would like to go, is going into the neuroscience, and the psychological side of it, and working with children and young adults, and looking at these developmental stages, and continuing to understand and refine these things that all these psychologists before me have already kind of theorized and helped build upon. So that is all I have to say for right now, and I'm sorry, it's very difficult when you're on camera. I'm a little bit long-winded, and I think I may have gone a little bit too in-depth, or may have been a little bit confusing, and I'm sorry about that. It's not that easy. Like I said, these are my thoughts, and that's kind of how it is. Things just fly around, and it's so difficult to understand sometimes what's going in my head, and then trying to explain it to other people, because that's how this field is kind of right now. Everything's constantly changing, and there's new things that are coming in and going out. And anyways, so for the next video, journal entry number 3, I believe that I'm actually going to be taking you guys with me to the bookstore, because I was recommended a book, and it's going to help me figure out what college I want to go to and their different requirements that they're going to require me. And it's also going to give me a better look at what each college program has to offer as far as what I'm interested in, which is developmental and neuroscience. So, hopefully, on this next journal entry, it will be about the. It's going to be about where I want to go to school. And yeah, I think that's it. So sorry for taking so much time, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.